Let me find where is my direct tax copy. There, found it. What's good, gang? I think the mic is working. Let's start the share screen. Yeah, share the audio. Online stop watch starts. Speedrun has begun, and let's open our copy. Today we are also going to make notes because this is my first time reading the study material. I haven't made any notes. Notes I'm going to make it in my copy. Can't make it on stream. I don't have the necessary resources to do that. I'll probably share a PDF link at the description of this stream so anyone can access it after I'm done. So we have ChatGPT open, we have our study material open. Let's begin. We'll cover up to residential status of individual later because I've already done that off stream. Let's start with residential status of HUF. HUF would be a resident in India if the control and management of its affairs is situated wholly or partly in India. Non-resident if the control and management of the affairs is situated wholly outside India, it would become a non-resident. Meaning of the term control and management. The expression control and management referred to under section 6 refers to the central control and management and not to the carrying on of day-to-day business by servants, employees or agents. Control and management means de facto control and management and not merely having the right to control or manage. The business may be done from outside India, and yet its control and management may be wholly within India. Therefore, control and management of a business is said to be situated at a place where the head and brain of the adventure is situated. Merely because the family has a house in India where some of the members reside in the previous year does not constitute that place as the seat of control and management of affairs of the HF unless important decisions concerning the affairs of the HF are taken at that place. Okay, so on the basic premise, now I'm writing it on my notes. So, residential status of a HUF, it clearly depends. We will call an HUF a resident if control and management of its affairs are situated wholly or partly. So it can be a situation where part of the control is present in India and part of it is outside India. Still, they will be called a resident. An HUF will be called a resident. So now that we have understood that control, if the control and management of its affairs are situated wholly or partly in India, it becomes a resident. Now we have doubts with the relation of what is control and management means. So what we'll do is we'll put this thing in ChatGPT and ask it to explain it in a simple manner. So meaning of control and management section 6, where key decisions are taken, head and brain, not where work happens. So not day-to-day work. It does not mean daily operators. Employees, staffs, agents are irrelevant. So focus only on who is taking the major decisions and from where. Head and brain concept. Think of a business like a body. Workers are the hands and management is the brain. So the place of the brain is the place of the control. De facto control, very important. Not about a legal right, it's about actual control. For example, director sits in Dubai but takes decisions from India. So the control is in India. So the business outside not equals control is outside. So, what they mean by this is business can be anywhere, but control depends on decision location. Example, factory is in US and decisions are taken in India. So the control is in India. So HUF special point, exam favorite, just having a house in India, family members living in India does not matter. So it only matters if important decisions of HUF are taken in India. So the one line exam summary is control and management refers to the place where key managerial decisions are actually taken or not where day-to-day operations are carried out. So the quick example is office is in London. Let's say for a HUF, the office is in London. All strategic locations are taken by the Qatar sitting in Delhi. Then the control and management will be said to be in India. All right. So just to understand the point of control and management means we'll write this one line summary in our copy. So it refers to the place where key managerial decisions are actually taken, not where day to day operations are carried out. Fine. So that's what they mean about, here. So let's read the study material once again. The expression control and management referred to under section 6 refers to the central control and management and not to the carrying of day-to-day business by servants, employees, or agents. Control and management means de facto control and management and not merely having the right to control and management. Okay, we'll write this point also. Means de facto control and management and not merely having the right to control or manage. So, what they mean is they actually control and manage the whole business. It's not just like, oh, they have the power to do so, but they don't actually do it. Because there may be a situation that exists that someone has the right to control or manage, but he never exercises that right. So, we are only talking about here where the actual control and management decisions are taking place. That is where the brain of the business is located, and the business can be outside, the business can be have offices outside, the staff, employees are could be working anywhere, it doesn't matter. It only for residential status of an HUF, only thing that matters is where is the control and management of the affairs situated. Okay, so we have done this. So naturally, if an HUF becomes a resident if its control and management of affairs is situated wholly or partly in India, if control and management of affairs is situated wholly outside India, it becomes a non resident. Fine. So this topic is done. Next, we go on to resident and ordinarily resident, but not, sorry, resident and ordinarily resident, resident but not ordinarily resident. If Karta of resident HUF satisfies both of the following additional cases as applicable in case of individual, then resident will be resident and ordinarily resident, otherwise it will be RNOR. So what are the additional conditions? Karta of resident HUF should be resident in at least 2 previous years out of the 10 previous years immediately preceding relevant previous year. Stay of Karta during 7 previous years immediately preceding relevant previous years should be 730 days or more. So we got our answer here. So if they've satisfy both the following additional conditions, then he will become the resident HUF will become a resident and ordinary resident. If any one of them followed, or if both of them are not satisfied, in that case it will be an RNOR HUF. So Resident HUF, resident, ordinarily resident, if two conditions satisfied. First condition is that Karta is resident at least 2 out of 10 previous years, immediately preceding the relevant previous year, obviously, and stay of Karta during previous stay of Karta during last 7 previous years preceding the relevant previous year greater than or equal to 730 days. If both of these conditions are satisfied, both conditions satisfied, then the HUF becomes resident, ordinary resident. Not satisfied, it becomes resident, not ordinarily resident. Fine. So they have given finally an entire summary. Residential status of HUF is the control and management of its affairs situated wholly or partly in India. Yes. Is Karta resident in India in any two previous years out of 10 previous years preceding the relevant previous year? Is his stay in India for 730 days or more during the seven preceding years? 7 previous years preceding the relevant previous year? Yes, HUF is resident, ordinarily resident. No, HUF is resident, not ordinarily resident. And if the first set of conditions, that is, the control and management of its affairs are situated wholly or partly in India, is not satisfied, then automatically the HUF becomes a non resident. Fine. Now we move on to residential status of firms, AOPs, and BOIs. Residential status of firms, AOPs, BOIs. So what have they said here? Resident. A firm AOP BOI would be a resident in India if the control and management of its affairs is situated wholly or partly in India. Where the control of management of the affairs is situated wholly outside India, the firm AOP and BOI would become a non-resident. The residential status of partners or members is immaterial while determining the residential status of firm AOP or BOI. The term non-resident is defined under Section 230 of the Income Tax Act 1961 as a person who is not a resident. However, for the purposes of the Section 92B, 93, and 168, non-resident would include a person who is not ordinarily resident within the meaning of Section 6(6). So, the only doubt I have here is in case of residential status of AOP, BOI, and firms, does the term control and management mean the same that in case of HUF? Yes, the same meaning applies. The meaning is same, but the condition in section 6 differs. For HUF, AOP, BOI firm resident in India if control and management is wholly or partly in India. Firm has operations in Dubai. Partners take decisions. Some in India, some in Dubai. Control partly in India. Firm is a resident. Okay, fine. So it does mean the same control and management like we highlighted in when studying about residential status of HOF. So in case of firms AOPs BOIs, the only additional point that we will write is resident if control and management of affairs wholly slash partly in India, otherwise non-resident. The only additional thing we'll write here is residential status of members slash partners is immaterial. Fine. So we are done with the residential status of firms, AOPs, and BOIs also. Let's go on to residential status of local authorities and AGPs. So local authorities and artificial judicial persons would be resident in India if the control and management of its affairs is situated wholly or partly in India. Where the control and management of its affairs is situated wholly outside India, they would become non-residents. So we'll just write it in the previous point as well. So for local authorities and also for artificial judicial persons, in all of these cases, whether it's firm, AOP, BOI, local authorities, AGPs, all of these cases, they become resident if the control and management are wholly or partly in India. If the control or management of its affairs are wholly outside India, then they become non-residents. All right, as simple as that. Residential status of a company. All right, so this one is important. Residential status of a company. A company would be a resident in India in any previous year if it is an Indian company or its place of effective management in that year is in India. Place of effective management means a place where key management and commercial decisions that are necessary for the conduct of the business of an entity as a whole are in substance made. So, determination of residential status of a company. Is the company in India? If the answer is yes, then the company is resident in India for the relevant previous year. If the answer to the question is the company Indian company, no, then we'll check whether the place of effective management is in India in the relevant previous year. If the answer to that question is yes, then again the company is a resident. If the place of effective management of the company is not in India in the relevant previous year, and the company is also not an Indian company, then the company is a non-resident for the relevant previous year. So, residential status of company. So, for any previous year, if it is an Indian company or place of effective management in that previous year is in India. So, if anyone satisfied, any one of these conditions is satisfied, not both, then it is a resident. Otherwise, it's a non-resident. Fine. Now let's see what they have said later. Guiding principles for determination of place of effective management of a company. So before we do that, we'll take a 10-minute break. So we'll pause the timer. We'll put this over here. Yeah, 10-minute break. Let's go. No, from beginning. What the hell? Let's turn off the mic. Let's start. So we were doing the guiding principles for determination of place of effective management. All right. So let me write this down. Guiding principles for determining poem. Okay. Place of effective management is an internationally recognized test for determination of residence of a company incorporated in a foreign jurisdiction. Most of the tax treaties entered into by India recognizes the concept of place of effective management for determination of what is determination? Determination of residence of a company as a tiebreaker rule for avoidance of double taxation. The CBDT has laid down the following guiding principles to be followed for determination of place of effective management. Concept of substance over form. Okay, we'll put this thing directly there. We'll put this thing directly on chat GPT. Let's simplify this process. Concept, substance over form. What actually happens matters than what is shown on paper. So, substance over form. What actually happens matters more than what is shown on paper. So, what are they saying here is on paper, let's say there's board meetings, there's registered offices, there's documents, and then there's the reality where real decisions are made. So the place of effective management looks at the reality, not the paperwork. So why this matters? Because companies try to show meetings abroad, but actual control from India. Department ignores fake structure, checks where decisions actually happen. So only one place of effective management at a time. Company can have multiple offices, they can have multiple managers, but not multiple place of effective management. So at any time, only one place where key decisions are effectively taken. So, place of effective management is year wise again. So, the residential status is to be checked every previous year, and hence, place of effective management shall also be checked every year. So there may be situations where changes can arise from year to year. So let's say 2024, the decisions were taken in India, so the company becomes a resident. But in 2025, the decisions are taken outside India, so the company becomes a non-resident. So example, let's say a company is registered in Singapore, board meetings are shown in Singapore, but promoter in Mumbai takes all real decisions. So we'll say the place of effective management is in India. Okay. Where actual decisions are taken, not where meetings, board meetings, offices, etc. are shown. Fine. So we'll read the study material once. They're saying that the determination of place of effective management will depend upon the facts and circumstances of a given case. The place of effective management is one where is it? One of substance over form. It may be noted that an entity may have more than one place of effective management at any point of time. Since residence is to be determined for each year, place of effective management will also be required to be determined on year to year basis. So an entity can have more than one place of management, but only one place of effective management, which we'll look at and say that if it is in India, then the company becomes a resident. If it's not in India, then the company becomes a non resident, unless it's an Indian company. Whether the company is engaged in active business outside India, an important criterion for determination of place of effective management. The process of determination of place of effective management would be primarily based on the fact as to whether or not the company is engaged in active business outside India. A company shall be said to be engaged in active business outside India if passive income is not more than 50% of its total income, less than 50% of its total assets are situated in India, and less than 50% of total number of employees are situated in India or are resident in India, and the payroll expenses incurred on such employee is less than 50% of his total payroll expenditure. All right. So we'll put this in the chat GPT. Core idea: if the company is genuinely operating, if the company is genuinely operating outside India, then we don't overthink place of effective management. We assume control is where the main management usually boards is. So let me just rearrange, the chain of my thoughts. So they're saying that if the place of effective management is in India, then the residential status of is the company is a resident. Now, there's a circular given here too that says one of the principles for determining place of effective management. Fine. And they say that the concept of substance over form. Fine. Now we come to the second part where they say that whether a company is engaged in active business outside India. This is an important criterion for determination of POEM. Okay. Now let's see what ChatGPT says. It says that if the company is genuinely operating outside India, then we don't overthink place of effective management. We assume control is where the main management usually board sits. But first, we check, is this company actually doing business outside India or just faking it? So the four conditions, 50% test. You have to pass all four. Passive income. Okay, you have to pass all four conditions. What are the first condition is key? Passive income, sorry, passive income up to 50,000, 50%. So less than or equal to 50%. Here, passive income includes royalty, it includes interest, it includes dividend, it includes rent, it includes capital gains, it also includes AE trades. I don't know what is AE trades. Maybe associate enterprise. I don't know. I'll ask this later. If this is high, then we get shady vibes. And the next condition is less than 50% of total assets. That is, most assets are outside India. Fine. Employees in India are less than 50% of total workforce. That is, major workforce is located outside India. And finally, payroll, that is the employee expense in India, is less than total payroll. So if all four conditions are satisfied, in that case we'll say the company is engaged in active business outside India. So then what happens? If active business outside India is satisfied, place of effective management, where board of directors usually make decisions, unless the board is just a puppet and someone else like promoter in India is running the show. Then place of effective management shifts to the real decision maker. So substance still wins, even if active place of active business outside India is satisfied. If some guy sitting in Mumbai is calling all the shots, what tax department gonna pull up like cops or pull up like the five? Nah, bro. Place of effective management equals India. So definitions: passive income, AE trading income. Acha, I'll have to ask this about AE trading income. Example, lock it in. 70% of employees are in US, 80% of assets are in US. Passive income is only 20%. Payroll mostly outside India. Active business outside India test is satisfied. In that case, board if the board meets in London, then the place of effective management is London. So, exam line: a company is said to be engaged in active business outside India if it satisfies all 450% conditions relating to passive income, assets, employees, and payroll. In such cases, place of effective management is generally the place where the board of directors exercises its powers subject to substance over form. So let me read this again. A company is said to be engaged in active business outside India if it satisfies all 450% conditions relating to passive income assets. In such cases, place of effective management is generally the place where the board of directors exercises its power subject to substance over form. Okay. So active business outside India is subject to substance over form. Right. Fine. And also, another point that we wanted to write here is if other than that, if active business outside India test is satisfied, place of effective management is where the board usually sits. Fine. Now let's go to the study material, and or before we go that, let's assets here mean average of opening and closing value. Payroll here means salary, bonus, pension, plus all other employee costs. Employees mean any outsourced people doing the same work are also counted as employees. And for banking companies, passive income would not be interest. What is a trading income? Acha, associated enterprise. Okay, fine. I will not go into much detail of that. Let's read the study material once. The process of determination of poem would be primarily based on the fact as to whether or not the company is engaged in active business outside India. The company shall be said to be engaged in active business outside India if passive income is not more than 50% of its total income, less than 50% of its total assets are situated in India, less than 50% of total number of employees are situated in India or are resident in India, and the payroll expenses incurred on such employees is less than 50% of its total payroll expenses. Income, as computed for tax purpose in accordance with the laws of the country of incorporation, as per the books of accounts, where the laws of the country of incorporation does not require such a computation. Value of assets. What does value of assets mean? Value of assets here mean that in case of an individually depreciable asset, the average of its value for tax purposes in the country of incorporation of the company at the beginning and at the end of the previous year. In case of a pool of fixed asset being treated as a block for depreciation, the average of its value for tax purposes in the country of incorporation of the company at the beginning and at the end of the year. In case of any other asset, value as per books of accounts. Number of employees. The average of the number of employees at the beginning and at the end of the year shall include persons who, though not employed directly by the company, perform tasks similar to those performed by the employees. Payroll here includes the cost of salaries, wages, bonus, and all other employee compensation, including related pension and social costs borne by the employer. Okay, it is the aggregate of income from transactions where both the purchase and sale of goods is from or to its associated enterprise. Income by way of royalty, dividend, capital gains, interest, or rental income. However, any income by way of interest shall not be considered to be passive income in case of a company which is engaged in the business of banking or is a public financial institution, and its activities are regulated as such under the applicable laws. Okay. So for assets, we include the average of beginning and closing value. For employees, again, average opening plus closing number of employees and includes out not employees performing same tasks as employees. And for the payroll calculation, we'll say that includes related pension and social costs borne by employer. Fine. So this part is also done. So what they're basically saying here is that if ABOI test is satisfied, all the four conditions are satisfied, then we'll say that the business place of effective management is usually where the boards is, which would be outside India. Again, this is ABOI test is subject to concept of substance over form. So let's say on paper all the ABOI conditions are satisfied. The board meetings are also shown on paper to happen in a place outside India, but a person in India is controlling all of them. Then in that case, again, place of effective management will deem to be in India. Okay, we'll again take a break, 10 minutes, and we'll be back. Let's go. So, we were doing place of effective management. In case of companies engaged in active business outside India, place of effective management of a company engaged in active business shall be presumed to be outside India if the majority of board meetings are held outside India. However, in the case the board is not exercising its powers of management and such powers are being exercised by either the holding company or any other person resident in India, then place of effective management shall be considered to be in India. For this purpose, merely because the board of directors follows general and objective principles of global policy of the group laid down by the parent entity, which may be in the field of payroll functions, accounting, HR, IT, network platforms, supply chain functions, routine banking, operational procedures, and not being specific to any entity or group of entities per se, would not constitute a case of board of directors of companies standing aside. CVDT circular clarifies that so long as the regional headquarter operates for subsidiaries group companies is too much. We'll have to put this in into the AI model. I like using the term AI model. Sounds fancy. Why is this lagging? All right, this is a heavy one. So, place of effective management with for companies with active business outside India. So, what is the core rule here? If the company has active business outside India, place of effective management is presumed to be outside India when if the majority of board meetings are held outside India. So, the step by step logic. First, you have to check the active business outside India test. You already know the four conditions. If they are, if all the four conditions are satisfied, then we go to the next step. Where are the board of meetings held? If the majority of board meetings outside India will say place of effective management is outside India. This is a presumption. All right, this is a presumption. So big exception, exam favorite. When board is just a puppet. If board is not taking real decisions, someone else is controlling, like a holding company or promoter in India. Then place of effective management shifts to India. If board is not taking real decisions or if someone else is controlling like a holding company or a promoter, then we'll say that the place of effective management shifts to India. All right, fine. So example, let's say a board meeting, sorry, if the board is not taking any real decisions or someone else is controlling like a holding company or a promoter, in that case, place of effective management shifts to India. Example, let's say the board meetings occur in Singapore, but the Indian parent company takes all the decisions. So here the board is just a dummy and the real control of the company is in India. So we'll say that the place of effective management is in India. Fine. Important clarifications. Civility circular. Following global policies are not equal to loss of control. If a company is just following group policies like HR policy, payroll, accounting, IT systems, supply chain, banking procedures, that's all normal. This does not mean the board is inactive. So, Important point here is following a global policy that is set for the entire company is not equal to loss in of control. So if the company is just following group policies like HR policy, they follow the payroll policy, they follow the accounting policy, they follow the IT systems. All of these are normal. This does not mean the board is inactive. All right. So regional headquarters in India, even if there is a regional headquarter in India, and the handling routine or global functions, then we cannot still say that the place of effective management is in India, unless real decision making is happening here. All right. So even regional HQ in India handling routine or global functions still not place of effective management in India unless real decision making is happening here. All right. Anti-abused general anti-avoidance rules. If structure is used for fake arrangements, aggressive tax planning, GAAR can apply. All right, we'll write this too. Fine. Data for active business of outside India test. Small but tricky. Take average of 3 years, current previous year and two previous years. New company, use the available years only. Different accounting year, then use the accounting year ending in relevant previous year plus two previous years. Exam summary. In case of a company engaged in active business outside India, place of effective management is presumed to be outside India if majority of board meetings are held outside India. However, if the board is not exercising its powers and such powers are exercised by a person resident in India, place of effective management shall be in India. Mere adherence to global policies or existence of regional headquarters in India does not constitute that the board is standing aside. All right, fine. So that's about it. Let's read it again from the study material. Place of effective management of a company engaged in active business. Just a second. So let's continue. Place of effective management of a company in active business shall be presumed to be outside India if the majority of the board meetings are held outside India. Fine. However, in case a board is not exercising its powers of management, as such powers are being exercised by either the holding company or any other person resident in India, then place of effective management shall be considered to be in India. For this purpose, merely because the board of directors follow general and objective principles of global policy of the group laid down by the parent entity, which may be in the field of payroll functions, accounting, HR, IT, network, supply chain functions, routine banking, and not specific to and not being specific to any entity or group of entities per se, would not constitute a case of board of directors of companies standing aside. CBDT circular. Okay. CBDT circular number 25 2017 dated 20 whatever clarifies that so long as the regional headquarter operates for subsidiaries or group companies in a region within the general and objective principles of global policy of the group laid down by the parent entity in the field of payroll functions, accounting, etc., and not being specific to any entity or group, it would in itself not constitute a case of board of directors of companies standing aside, and such activities of regional headquarter in India alone will not be the basis for establishment of place of effective management for such subsidiaries or group companies. Okay, fine. It is further mentioned that in the said circular that the provisions of general anti-avoidance rule may get triggered in such cases where the above clarification is found to be used for abusive or aggressive tax planning for the purpose of determining whether the okay, so this GAR, this both of these points that following global policies is not equal to loss of control of the board, and the GAR rules are all both of them are linked. So if the regional HQ is making policies on HR, accounting, sorry, yeah, is handling the policies of HR, accounting, etc. You can't say that the country's place of effective management is located in India. So they are saying that if the regional headquarters in India is like operating or is in charge of implementing the group general and objective principles lay of the global policy of the group that is laid down by the parent entity regarding accounting, HR, etc. We can't say that the just because of that the place of effective management is in India. However, general anti-avoidance rules again, if we are doing it all of this structure to for aggressive tax planning or abusive tax planning, then again general anti-avoidance rules become applicable. For the purpose of determining whether the company is engaged in active business outside India, the average of the data of the previous year and 2 years prior to that shall be considered. Okay, so average of previous year plus 2 years prior to be considered for ABOI test. Fine. In case the company has been in existence for a shorter period, then data of such shorter period will be considered, where the accounting year for tax purposes in accordance with the laws of the country of incorporation of the company is different from the previous year. Date of the accounting year, the data of the accounting year that ends during the relevant previous year, and the two accounting years preceding year shall be considered. It has been clarified that mere following of global policies laid down by the Indian holding company would not constitute the board is standing aside. Okay, fine. Now let's go to the second part, which is in case of companies not engaged in active business outside India. So let's say we take the ABOI test, but the conditions laid down in the ABOI test are not satisfied, then in that case, for those companies, how do we determine the place of effective management? So in that case, they say the guidelines involve a two-stage process for why am I saying determination of poem in case of companies not engaged in active business. First stage, identifying the persons who actually make the key management and commercial decisions for the conduct of the company as whole. Determine the place where these decisions are in fact being made. The places where these management decisions are taken would be more important than the place where such decisions are implemented. For the purpose of determination of poem, it is the substance which would be conclusive rather than the form. Fine. So poem for companies with ABOI, and now we do the place of effective management for companies not engaged in ABOI. Fine. So how do we do this? Two-stage process. First stage, should identify persons who actually make key managerial, key management and commercial decisions. And second stage is determine place where these decisions are in fact being made. Fine. So, for companies that don't satisfy ABOI test to determine the place of effective management, first we'll see who are taking the main managerial and commercial decisions for the whole company. We'll identify those key management and decision makers, and once we do that, then we'll determine the place where these decisions are in fact being made. Again, substance which would be conclusive over form. So what matters is where are these decisions being taken, not where these decisions are being implemented. Fine, done. So they have given a summary of this determination of place of effective management based on the following categorization of foreign companies: active business outside test, companies fulfilling the test of ABOI, place of effective management outside India. A majority board of director meetings are held outside India. If de facto decision making authority is not board of directors but Indian parent or resident, place of effective management shall be in India. Companies other than those fulfilling the test of ABOI. Stage 1, identification of persons who actually make the key management and commercial decisions for conduct of the company's business as a whole. Stage 2, determination of place where these decisions are in fact being made. Okay. What is the ABOI test? Again, we have already read this. If the company is said to be engaged in ABOI, if it fulfills the cumulative conditions of its passive income wherever earned is 50% or less of its total income, less than 50% of its total assets are situated in India, less than 50% of the total number of employees are situated in India or are residents in India, payroll expenses incurred on such employees are less than 50% of total payroll expenditure. Passive income of a company shall be aggregate of income from the transactions where both the purchase and sale of goods is from slash to its associated enterprises, and income by way of royalty, dividend, capital gains, interest, except for banking companies and public financial institutions, or rental income, whether or not involving associated enterprises. Some of the guiding principles which may be taken into account for determining the place of effective management are as follows. Location where the board of directors meet and makes decisions. This location may be the place of effective management of a company, provided the board retains and exercises its authority to govern the company and does, in substance, make the key management and commercial decisions necessary for the conduct of the company's business as a whole. It may be mentioned that mere formal holding of board meetings at a place would by itself not be conclusive for determination of place of effective management being located at that place. If the key decisions by the directors are in fact being taken in a place other than the place where the formal meetings are held, then such other place would be relevant for place of effective management. As an example, this may be the case where the board meetings are held in a location distinct from the place where head office of the company is located, or such located location is unconnected with the place where the predominant activity of the company is being carried out. All right. So this again will put this in the AI model. So we are doing some of the guiding principles. All right. Fine. So what we'll do now is we'll take a break again and we'll come back after 10 minutes. Yes. So we were doing the guiding principles for determining place of effective management. Let me write this down. Guiding principles for determining place of effective management. How do we do it? Core idea: find where the real decision making happens for the business as a whole. So board of directors, location, general rule: place where board meets or makes decisions, but only if board actually has powers, board actually takes key decisions. So important twist here is that fake or formal meetings, just holding meetings somewhere is not equal to poem. If decisions are taken elsewhere, that place matters. Example: board meetings in Dubai, but decisions already made in India. Place of effective management is in India. Substance over form: again, ignore meeting location on paper, focus on where decisions are actually made. Delegation of powers. Exam favorite: if board delegates powers to senior management, promoter, shareholder, advisor, and board just rubber stamps decisions, then place of effective management is equals where those people make decisions. Example: CEO in India takes all decisions, board just approves. The place of effective management is in India. Who is senior management? Senior management includes CEO, managing director, CFO, chief, chief operations officer, heads of department of IT, sales, marketing, etc. Basically, people who make strategies plus implement it. Exam strategy: write this. Poem. So let's write this down. Poem is generally the place where board of directors makes key management and commercial decisions, provided it exercises real authority. If meetings are merely formal or decisions are taken elsewhere, such other place becomes place of effective management, where the board delegates its powers and merely ratifies decisions. Place of effective management is the place where such delegated authority actually exercises decision making. So one line memory trick is: don't follow the meeting, follow the mind. All right. Senior management in respect of a company means the person or persons who are generally responsible for developing and formulating key strategies and policies for the company, and for ensuring the and or overseeing the execution and implementation of these strategies on a regular and ongoing basis. While designation may vary, these persons may include MD, CEO, etc., etc. अच्छा, location of executive committee in case of powers are delegated by the board. A company's board may delegate some or all of its authority to one or more committees, such as an executive committee consisting of key members of senior management. In these situations, the location where the members of executives committee are based and where the committee develops and formulates the key strategies and policies for near approval by the full board will often be considered to be company's place of effective management. The delegation of authority may be either de jure by means of a formal resolution or shareholder agreement, or de facto based upon the actual conduct of the board and the executive committee. Okay, so they're saying that in case the company's board delegates some or all of its authorities to a executive committee, then the place where these executive committees formulate and take the decisions will be taken as the place of the company's effective management. The delegation of authority may be either de jure by formal resolution or shareholder or de facto based upon the actual. Okay. In case of executive committee delegated by board, delegation may be de jure or de facto. That is via conduct of the board. Fine. Location of head office. The location of a company's head office will be a very important factor in the determination of the company's place of effective management because it often represents the place where key company decisions are made. The following points need to be considered for determining the location of the head office of the company. If the company's senior management and the support staff are based in a single location and that location is allowed to be to the public as company's principal place of business or headquarters, then that location is the place where the head office is located. If the company is more decentralized, for example, various members of senior management may operate from time to time at offices located in the various countries, then the company's head office would be location where these senior managers are primarily or predominantly based or normally return to to other locations or meet when formulating or deciding key strategies or policies for the company as a whole. Members of the senior management may operate from different locations on a more or less permanent basis, and the members may participate in various meetings via telephone or video conferencing rather than by being physically present at meetings in a particular location. In such situation, the head office would normally be the location, if any, where the highest level of management, for example, MD or financial director, and the direct support staff are located. In situations where the senior management is so decentralized that it is not possible to determine the company's head office with a reasonable degree of certainty, the location of the company's head office would not be of much relevance in determining the company's place of effective management. Head office of a company would be the place where the company's senior management and their direct support staff are located, or if they are located at more than one location, the place where they are primarily or predominantly located. A company's head office is not necessarily the same as the place where the majority of its employees work or where its board typically meets. All right, let's put this. Location of head office, place of effective management factor. Core idea: head office, where the real bosses, senior management are sitting and running the show. Why head office matters? So, look, most times when key decisions are made, that becomes a strong indicator of place of effective management. Okay, fine. How to find the office? Let's say in case of a centralized setup, easy case. If senior management, CEO, CFO, etc., their support staff are all in one place, that place is the head office. Decentralized setup, real world case. Now, if the management is spread worldwide, we ask where do they stay? Mostly stay uh, return after travel, meet to take big decisions, that place becomes the head office. In case of virtual or remote management, if meetings on Zoom, people scattered globally, then look where the top dogs, CEO, CFO, their core set, that is the head office. When head office becomes useless, if the management is too scattered or no clear base, then head office factor not relevant for place of effective management. What head office is not? Listen carefully, not where most employees work, not where factory is, not where board meetings happen, only where senior management operates from. Clean exam definition: head office is the place where the company's senior management and their direct support staff are located, or if located in multiple places where they are primarily or predominantly located. Example, let's say there's a factory in China, employees mostly in Vietnam, board meets in Dubai, CEO, CFO sitting in India, head office is India. Strong indicator of place of effective management is India. Okay, so if we do this, I just have a question about this. So when head office becomes useless, how do we determine OM then? Board is genuine poem where board actually decides. Yeah. Board is weak, just have to check this. Key management mechanism as this what are strategy that location substance over form. Okay, fine. Sample. Okay, fine, fine. So let's note it down. So the guiding principles for determining find where the decision making happens. That's point A. B is the executive committee. Point C is location of head office. So what do we have here? Where the head office is, that's where key decisions are made most of the time, and that becomes place of effective management. And this is the general rule. So how do we find the head office? Centralized, in case of a centralized setup, if senior management and their support staff all in one place, head office, that becomes the head office. Decentralized setup, that is management spread worldwide. In this case, we'll see where do they mostly stay, return after travel, or meet to take big decisions. That place becomes head office. And there can also be case where there's a virtual slash remote setup. In that case, look where top management like CEO, CFO plus their core team sit, that becomes head office. Important point, when HO becomes useless, if management too scattered or has no clear base. In that case, in that case, head office factor not relevant for place of effective management determination. Also important point, what head office is not, it is not where most people work, I mean like most employees work, where factory is, let's say, where board meetings happen, only where senior management operates from. Fine. So we're done here. Let's just read this again. The location of a company's head office will be a very important factor in the determination of the company's place of effective management because it often represents the place where key company decisions are made. The following points need to be considered for determining the location of the head office of the company. If the company's senior management and the support staff are based in a single location and that location is held out to the public as the company's principal place of business or headquarters, then that location is the place where head office is located. If the company is more decentralized, for example, where various members of senior management may operate from time to time at offices located in various countries, then the company's head office would be the location where these senior managers are primarily or predominantly based, normally return to following travel to other locations, meet when formulating, deciding key strategies and policies for the company as a whole. Members of the senior management may operate from different locations on a more or less permanent basis, and the members may participate in various meetings via telephone or video conferencing rather than by being physically present at meetings in a particular location. In such situation, the head office would normally be the location, if any, where the highest level of management, for example, managing director or financial director, and the direct support staff are located. In the situations where the senior management is so decentralized that it is not possible to determine the company's head office with a reasonable degree of certainty, the location of a company's head office would not be of much relevance in determining the company's place of effective management. Head office here means of a company would be the place where the company's senior management and the direct staff, support staff are located, or if they are located at more than one location, the place where they are primarily or predominantly located. A company's head office is not necessarily the same as the place where the majority of its employees work or where its board typically meets. All right. That's fine. Use of modern technology. The use of modern technology impacts the place of effective management in many ways. It is no longer necessary for the persons taking decisions to be physically present at a particular location. Therefore, physical location of board meeting or executive committee meeting or meeting of senior management may not be where the key decisions are in substance being made. In such cases, the place where the directors of the persons taking the decisions or majority of them usually reside may also be a relevant factor. Okay. All right. Decision via circular resolution or round robin voting. Okay, we'll do this later. So again, it's time for a break, and we'll just see like how big is this topic right now. So I think G is the last point. After that, we have some illustrations. Okay. So what we'll do now is, should we call this a day or should we complete these 3 points? Let's complete these 3 points. Okay, let's complete these 3 points. So let's take a break, complete this, and then we'll end the stream for now and we'll start with something else. What is this? Transition mechanism for a company incorporated outside India. Okay, this is something else. Fine. So after this, go to total scope of total. Fine. The sound is so annoying. Yeah. So we were doing the guiding principles. No, what were we doing? We were doing the, yeah, guiding principles for determination of place of effective management. So we'll just quickly ask this one. Because today meetings are held in Zoom calls, Teams meetings, decisions are made via email or WhatsApp, so physical location is not reliable anymore. Big shift in logic. Earlier, meeting place was the decision place. Now, not necessarily true. What do we check instead? Where are decisions actually made? So, who is controlling the decisions? Where are the key calls being taken? Where do decision makers live? If everything is virtual, look at where majority of directors, decision makers reside. That place becomes a strong indicator of place of effective management. So let's say the board meeting is shown to be in Singapore, but four out of the five directors sitting in India. All decisions are happening from India, and in that case, reality check, place of effective management is in India. So key insight is technology can be hide location, but residence of decision makers exposes reality. Physical locations of meetings may not be relevant. Therefore, the key place where decision makers or majority of them usually resides becomes an important factor in determining place of effective management. Now, let's do this. So, circular resolution, round robin voting, place of effective management, core idea. When decisions are taken without meetings, we look at who actually has the power and where they are. So let's say there is no physical meetings, decisions are passed via email, digital approval, or circular resolution. Everyone just signs and approves remotely. So, how do we find the place of effective management? We don't just look at who proposed the decision, instead, we check the key factors. Frequency. Is this method used regularly or just occasionally? Number two, nature of decisions. Are these routine decisions or key strategic decisions? Only important decisions matter for place of effective management. Three, location of decision makers. Where are the people approving sitting? Who has the real authority? Most important. Ask who actually controls decisions, who has the final say. That person is the key for place of effective management. Example, let's say a resolution is circulated globally, but final call always taken by CEO in India. Others just approve. Real authority, CEO in India, place of effective management is India. So the important insight here is it's not about who starts the decision, it's about who has the power to decide. So let's write it the exam line. In case of circular resolutions, factors such as frequency, nature of decisions, and location of decision makers are relevant. However, primary importance is given to the person who has and exercises real authority, and the place where such person is located. So let's look at this from the study material. Decision via circular resolution or round robin voting. In case of a circular resolution or round robin voting, the factors like the frequency with which it is used, the type of decisions made in that matter, and where the parties involved in those decisions are located, etc., are to be considered. It cannot be said that proposer of decision alone would be relevant, but based on past practices and general conduct, it would be required to determine the person who has the authority and who exercises the authority to take decisions. The place of location of such person would be more important. Now, decisions made by shareholders are not relevant factor in determination of place of effective management. So let's put this. Shareholder decisions and place of effective management. Core idea. Normal shareholder decisions are not equal to not sorry, normal shareholder decisions are not relevant for place of effective management. So let's say because shareholders usually decide on sale of company assets, liquidation or closure, issue of shares, change in shareholders' rights, these affect ownership structure of company, not day-to-day strategic business decisions. So for place of effective management, we care about management decisions, commercial decisions, not shareholder level approvals. But here's where it gets interesting. When shareholders take control, if shareholders start interfering heavily, control board decisions, restrict management, then things flip crossing the line. If board becomes weak, senior management has no real authority, shareholders are calling the shots, then shareholders are the real decision makers. Place of effective management then becomes where those shareholders are located. Example, shareholders in India, board abroad, just for namesake. All key decisions are dictated by shareholders. Place of effective management is in India. Exam line. Decisions taken by shareholders on matters reserved under company law are generally not relevant for determining place of effective management as they relate to ownership rather than management. However, if shareholders effectively usurp management powers and control key decisions, place of effective management shall be determined based on their location. Okay, so we'll note this down in our summary book. Decisions taken by shareholders on matters reserved under company law are generally not relevant for determining place of effective management as they relate to ownership rather than management. However, if shareholders effectively usurp management powers and control key decisions, place of effective management shall be determined based on their, that is shareholders location. Fine. So let's read the study materials. The decisions made by shareholders on matters which are reserved for shareholder decision under the company laws are not relevant for determination of a company's place of effective management. Such decisions may include sale of all, substantially all of the company's assets, the dissolution, liquidation, or deregistration of the company, modification of the rights attaching to various classes of shares, or the issue of a new class of shares, etc. These decisions typically affect the existence of the company itself or the rights of the shareholders as such, rather than the conduct of the company's business from a management or company's perspective, and are therefore generally not relevant for the determination of a company's place of effective management. However, the shareholders' involvement can, in certain situations, turn into that of effective management. This may happen through a formal arrangement by way of a shareholder agreement, etc., or may also happen by way of actual conduct. As an example, if the shareholders limit the authority of board or and senior managers of a company and thereby remove the company's real authority to make decision, then the shareholder guidance transforms into usurpation, and such undue influence may result in effective management being exercised by the shareholder. Therefore, whether the shareholder involvement is crossing the line into that of effective management is one of fact and has to be determined on case to case basis only. Now, let's go to the final point relating to this. So, here the final point of the guiding principles for determination of place of effective management, day to day decisions, and place of effective management. Core idea. Routine operations are not equal to place of effective management. Only big strategic decisions matter. Routine versus strategic, this is everything. Ignored repairs and maintenance, hiring staff, daily operations, implementing policies done by junior or middle management. Focus relevant, opening a new factory, closing business line, expansion decisions, major investments done by senior management or the board. Same person, if there's a case where same person is doing both, then sometimes same person handles operations and strategy. Then separate the decisions, only track where strategic decisions are taken. If still confused, take the help of secondary factors. Use these as backup. Place of main business activity, place where accounting records are kept. These are secondary, not primary. What does not decide place of effective management? Exam traps. These alone are not enough. Indian company owns foreign company, permanent establishment in India, some directors in India, local management in India, support functions in India. None of these mean equals automatic place of effective management in India. Big rule, very important. Place of effective management based on all facts together, not on single factor. No snapshot approach. Don't check one moment, check entire year activity. A place of effective management in multiple places, if partly outside India, partly in India, then where it is mainly or predominantly, that place becomes the place of effective management. Safeguard, exam point. Assessment officer cannot randomly say place of effective management is in India. Needs approval from principal commissioner or commissioner, collegium of three members, opportunity of being heard. Okay, so let's write the exam summary down. Routine operational decisions are not relevant for place of effective management. Only key management and commercial decisions are considered. Fine. If primary factors are inconclusive, secondary factors such as place of main business activity or accounting records may be considered. Place of effective management is determined based on all relevant facts over the year, and no single factor is decisive. Okay, so let's read this from the study material. Day-to-day routine operational decisions are not relevant for determination of place of effective management. It may be clarified that day-to-day routine operational decisions undertaken by junior and middle management shall not be relevant for the purpose of determination of place of effective management. The operational decisions relate to the oversight of the day-to-day business operations and activities of a company, whereas the key management and commercial decisions are concerned with broader strategic and policy decisions. For example, a decision to open a major new manufacturing facility or to discontinue a major product line would be examples of key commercial decisions affecting the company's business as a whole. By contrast, decisions by the plant manager appointed by senior management to run that facility concerning repairs and maintenance, the implementation of company wide controls, and human resource policies would be examples of routine operational decisions. In certain situations, it may happen that person responsible for operational decision is the same who is responsible for the key management and commercial decision. In such cases, it will be necessary to distinguish the two types of decisions and thereafter assess the location where the key management and commercial decisions are taken. If the above factors do not lead to clear identification of place of effective management, then the final guidelines provide that following secondary factors may be considered: place where the main and substantial activity of the company is carried out, or place where the accounting records of the company are kept. It needs to be emphasized that the determination of place of effective management is to be based on all relevant facts related to the management and control of the company, and is not to be determined on the basis of isolated facts that by itself do not establish effective management, as illustrated by the following examples. The fact that a foreign company is completely owned by an Indian company will not be conclusive evidence that the conditions for establishing POM in India have been satisfied. The place that where exists a permanent establishment of a foreign entity in India would itself not be conclusive evidence that the conditions for establishing POM in India have been satisfied. The fact that one or more of the directors of a foreign company reside in India will not be conclusive evidence that the conditions for establishing POM in India have been satisfied. The fact of local management being situated in India in respect of activities carried out by foreign company in India will not by itself be conclusive evidence that the conditions for establishing POM have been satisfied. The existence in India of support functions that are preparatory and auxiliary in character will not be conclusive evidence that the conditions for establishing POEM in India have been satisfied. It is reiterated that the above principles for determining the poem are for guidance only. No single principle will be decisive in itself. The above principles are not to be seen with reference to any particular moment in time. Rather, activities performed over a period of time during the previous year need to be considered. In other words, a snapshot approach is not to be adopted further based on the facts and circumstances. If it is determined that during the previous year the poem is in India and also outside India, then poem shall be presumed to be in India if it has been mainly predominantly in India. The CBDT also clarified that the assessing officer shall, before initiating any proceedings for holding a company incorporated outside India on the basis of poem as being resident in India, seek prior approval of the principal commissioner or the commissioner as the case may be. Further, in case of assessing officer proposes to hold a company incorporated outside India on the basis of poem as being resident in India, then any such findings then any such finding shall be given to the by the assessment officer after seeking prior approval of the collegium of three members consisting of the principal commissioner or the commissioners as the case may be, to be constituted by the principal chief commissioner of the region concerned. In this regard, the collegium so constituted shall provide an opportunity of being heard to the company before issuing any direct directions in the matter. Example 1. So now we're done with the guiding principles. Now let's see the examples. Example 1. Company A is a sourcing entity for an Indian multinational group incorporated in country X and is 100% subsidiary of the Indian company. The warehouses and stock in them are the only assets of the company and are located in country X. All the employers of the company are also in country X. The average income wise breakup of the country's total income for 3 years is 30% of income is from transactions where purchases are made from parties which are non associated enterprises and sold to associated enterprises. 30% of income is from transactions where purchases are made from AEs and sold to AEs. 30% of income is from transactions where purchases are made from associated enterprise and sold to non-associated enterprise. 10% of the income is by way of interest. So in this case, 40% of the total income, which is less than 50%, that is, sorry, 40%, less than 50% of the passive income is from outside India, right? So let's see interpretation. In this case, a passive income is 40% of the total income of the company. Okay, the condition was for ABOI. Passive income is less than or up to 50%. Okay. So there's no condition that passive income has to be in India. It just says that passive income is less than or up to 50%. So in this case, passive income is 40% of the total income. The passive income consists of 30% of the income transaction where both associated enterprise, 10% income from interest. The A company satisfies the first requirement of the test of active business outside India since no assets or employers are in India. The other requirements of the test is also satisfied. Therefore, company is engaged in active business outside India. Okay. Example 2. The other facts remain same as that in example 1 with the variation that a company has a total of 50 employees, 47 employees managing the warehouse, storekeeping and accounts of the company are located in country X. The MD, CEO and sales head are resident in India. The total annual payroll expenditure on in these 50 employees is of 5 crores. The annual payroll expenditure in respect of MD, CEO, and sales head is of 3 crores. All right. In that case, total payroll expenditure is 8 crores, and less than 50% of it is not. Yeah, so less than 50% of it is spent. So payroll in India is less than 50% of total payroll of the company. So in interpretation, although the first name of active business test is satisfied by a company, as only 40% of its total income is passive in nature. Further, more than 50% of the employees are also situated outside India. All the assets are situated outside India. However, the payroll expenditure in respect of India uh, and sales at being employees resident in India exceeds 50% of the total payroll expenditure. Therefore, a company is not engaged in active business outside India. Okay. So three employees are okay. So maybe in the total payroll they have included the MD, CEO, and sales head also. In that case, yeah, 50%. Yeah, in that case, India's payroll expenditure exceeds 50% of total payroll expenditure. Example 3. The basic facts are same as example 1. Further facts are that all the directors of the A company are Indian residents. During the relevant previous year, 5 meetings of board of directors held, of which 2 were held in India and 3 outside India, with 2 country X and 1 in country Y. The A company is engaged in active business outside India as the facts indicated. In example 1 established, the majority of board meetings have been held outside India, therefore, the place of effective management of a company shall be presumed to be outside India. Example 4, the facts are same as in example 3, but it is established by the assessing officer that although A companies although A company's senior management team signs all the contracts for all the contracts above 10 lakh, the A company must submit its recommendation to B company, and B company makes the decision whether or not the contract may be accepted. It is also seen that during the previous year, more than 99% of the contracts were above 10 lakhs, and over the past years, also the same trend in respect of value of contribution of contracts above 10 lakh is seen. In this case, facts suggest that the effective management of A company may have been usurped by the parent company B. Therefore, place of effective management of A company may in such cases be not presumed to be outside India, even though A company is engaged in active business outside India, and majority of board meetings are held outside India. Fine. Example 5. An Indian multinational group has a local holding company, A company, in country X. The A company also has 100% downstream subsidiaries, B company and C company in country X, and D company in country Y. The A company has income by only by way of dividend and interest from investments made in its subsidiaries. The place of effective management of A company is in India and is exercised by ultimate parent company of the group. The subsidiaries BCD are engaged in active business outside India. The meetings of board director of B, C, and D are held in country X and Y respectively. Interpretation: merely because the place of effective management of an intermediate holding company is in India, the place of effective management of its subsidiaries shall not be taken to be in India. Each subsidiary has to be examined separately, as indicated in the facts, since B, C, and D are independently engaged in active business outside India. A majority of board meetings of these companies are also held outside India. Poem of B, C, D shall also be presumed to be outside India. Further, the CBDT-wide Circular Number 8, 2007 also clarified that place of effective management guidelines shall not apply to a company having turnover or gross receipts of 50 crores or less in a financial year. So this is important again. POM guidelines do not apply to a company having turnover or gross receipts of 50 less than equals to 50 crore in a financial year. Okay, fine. So we have the final illustration here. Illustration 3. ABC Incorporated, a Swedish company headquartered in Stockholm, not having a permanent establishment in India, has set up a liaison office in Mumbai in April 2025 in compliance with RBI guidelines to look after its day-to-day business operations in India, spread awareness about the company's products, and explore further opportunities. The liaison office takes decisions relating to day-to-day routine operations and performs support functions that are preparatory and auxiliary in nature. The significant management and commercial decisions are, however, in substance made by the board of directors at Sweden. Determine the residential status of ABC for assessment year 26-27. Section 6.3 provides that a company would be resident in India if any previous year. If it is an Indian company, its place of effective management in that year is in India. In this case, ABC is a foreign company, therefore, it would be resident in India for previous year 25-26 only if its place of effective management in that year is in India. Explanation to Section 6.3 defines place of effective management to mean a place where key management and commercial decisions that are necessary for the conduct of the business of an entity as a whole are in substance made. In this case of ABC Incorporated, its place of effective management for 25-26 is not in India, since the significant management and commercial decisions in substance are made by the board of directors outside India in Sweden. ABC Incorporated has only a liaison office in India, though through which it looks after its routine day-to-day operations. The place where decisions relating to day-to-day routine operations taken and support functions that are preparatory or auxiliary in nature are performed are not relevant in determining the place of effective management. Hence, ABC Incorporated, being a foreign company, is a non-resident for 26-27 since its place of effective management is outside India in the previous year 25-26. Fine. So we are done for now. Let's just input. Let's just close the timer once and let's input the number of hours time study. So we have studied like 1 hour 40 minutes. This is excluding the break. So let's put in 100 minutes here. We didn't study yesterday. So let's put in study session 100 minutes here. Extract the formula over here. We have studied 1.67 hours. Fine. And we have the total stream time is currently 2 hours and 30 minutes, 33 minutes. We have studied 1.4, so we have taken a break of almost 53 minutes. So that will be all. Thank you.